Well, hey there. Welcome back to part 2 of this lesson on Genesis 37. Let's process what the Bible tells us and work on this question. Where is God when life is falling apart? By now, you should have read Genesis 37 and retold the story to yourself. If you missed part 1 of this lesson, you can catch it up here. Or you can start from the beginning of these lessons about finding resilience through faith in Jesus using this playlist here, or it will also be at the end of the video for you. There are 3 questions we always ask at CrossRoads after reading the Bible. What does it say about God? What does it say about people? And what do we need to do about it? In this lesson, we're going to ask these questions in a little different order. Let's start with the second one. What does it say about people? How do you answer that question after reading Genesis 37? Think about the people in the story. What do they teach us about ourselves and other people in our lives? Jacob, or Israel, he has both those names. What does he tell us about people? Sometimes people play favorites, right? What had Joseph done to be special? He had been born to in Jacob's old age to his favorite wife. I know. The passage didn't get into that favorite wife thing, right? Is that fair to Joseph's brothers? Is it ever fair to have a favorite child? How did Joseph's brothers feel about that? Were their feelings justified? You know, I kind of get angry when I think about Jacob playing favorites. I kind of get indignant, kind of justified anger. And I think hate probably isn't too strong a word for how those brothers felt. How did Joseph exacerbate the problem, right? Maybe you don't share all the crazy visions God gives you when your brothers are already a little jealous. Twice. Maybe then you don't flaunt your father's extravagant gift when you leave his house to go find your brothers who are in their dirty work clothes watching sheep. And what about that scheme the brothers put together? Wow, right? I mean, we can be deceptive and hurtful and do some horrible things to people, can't we? And maybe people are willing to enslave people in hard situations. Now, most of us don't do it by buying or selling people, but do you know someone who's taking advantage in someone of a less fortunate position? Lots of lessons about people in this chapter. I'm not real sure that any of them are very good. Now, the second question, or what's normally the first question, the one we usually start with, what does it say about God? I thought this was really interesting when I read this chapter and I thought about this question. It doesn't say anything about God, does it? Except for those couple visions at the beginning. So where is God in this passage? While Joseph's life is falling apart, there's no mention of him. He's not there. Or is he? We don't see much of God in this chapter. And how do you feel if you're Joseph? If you've had these visions, then during one trip to check on your brothers, you end up sold into slavery in Egypt. I'm guessing he didn't feel much of God's presence either. So, is this chapter of this story is it about how God sets events in motion with a couple crazy dreams and then becomes a silent observer as life then spirals out of control? Well, Genesis 37 didn't answer that question for us, but remember, this Bible, this book, this collection of all these books, this is God's story, all of it. The very fact that this story is here in the Bible shows us that God was part of it. It wasn't outside of his control. Sometimes life falls apart for us. And if you've trusted in Jesus and follow him, God is right there with you in the middle of whatever challenge you're facing. He's not silently observing. He's walking with you through it. Sometimes, though, it's hard to see in that moment. I'm reminded of the words of Psalm 23. You'll probably recognize them. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of the death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Finish with a prayer. Thank God for his presence, even when your life is falling apart. Take some time to reflect on how he is here for you right now, no matter what you're facing. And if you need someone to talk to, send me a note. info@crossroadsfortworth.org. Thank you for taking a few minutes to look at Genesis 37 with me. Send me a note if you like. And if you live in North Texas, we would love to see you on Sunday morning. Have a great day discovering Jesus. Well, hey, this is Pastor Jonathan from the future. And when I recorded those videos, I left out the most important part. I want to challenge you to do something that will make a big difference in your life. I want to challenge you to take time each day this week to be mindful of God's presence with you, even when God's presence isn't obvious. First, in order to make it a habit, pick a time or several times each day when you'll do this exercise I'm about to give you. And set an alarm on your phone to remind you. Then, when your alarm goes off, do one of these 3 things. Or maybe pick 3 different times and do each one each day. So first thing you can do, stop. Really stop and read Psalm 23 about God's presence with us. I'll put a link in the video description below with a copy of Psalm 23. And you can print it if you would like. Second thing, stop. Take a breath. And take at least 1 whole minute to remind yourself that no matter what else is going on, God really is present with you. And the third one is this: stop, be still, and pray, thanking God for his presence.